want to kind of try to keep it to an hour.
Okay, I got it.
Go ahead.
Okay. So it's my pleasure to welcome everyone. It's really, we've kind of introduced ourselves, and this is one of the upsides of the coronavirus, that we are able to connect with each other and feel like we've shared a meeting place together. And I'm just so happy to see everyone. And I want to introduce Deanna Migdal, the executive director, and she's been our moderator extraordinaire, and she will conduct the meeting, and I thank her.
Great, thank you, Jan. So welcome, everyone. We have two very special guests with us today. Shirli, the International Director of Na'amat Israel, who it's always a pleasure to see and to speak with. And we have Masha Lubelsky, who is the Na'amat representative at the World Zionist Organization. So Masha is going to be speaking to us first for a few minutes, and then we could have some Q&A after that. And then after Masha is done, Shirley is going to give us an update on what's going at Na'amat in Israel. So I'd like to introduce you to Masha Lubelsky.
Okay. So I am very busy these days with the World Zionist Organization because I represent you on the executive of the World Zionist Organization. And usually in this time of the year, all of us had to be prepared for the next Congress, which will take place in the end of October. But this year, it will be a very funny or strange Congress because it will be by Zoom. And no one will meet, we will not meet with groups, but everyone from his home will be connected, and the Congress will take place for 3 days. But the 3 days will be in the afternoons in order that our people, our delegates, not just the women, all the delegates of the Zionist Congress can participate because of the hours that in Israel, when it's morning, at your time, it's night. So if the Congress takes place at in the afternoon, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, every day, so it will be easier to connect from North America and from other places also, and also from Europe. And every day it will take about 4 hours, So there will be an opening, there will be a message about what the World Zionist movement is going to do in the next 5 years. There will be all the procedures that we usually have in a Congress, some reports, and in the next day of the Congress, as I said, in the afternoon, there we will have some very brilliant speakers about Zionism, about Jewish life, about anti-Semitism, and in the third day of the Congress, also in the afternoon, there will be elections. Here I have to say that we, Na'amat, we are an organization. We are not a political movement. We are not running to political elections. So therefore, we are privileged that we are getting, as other women's organizations, we are getting 15 places for 15 delegates, and also for other 10 who will be also stand by to replace the delegates. But the delegates who will be to the Congress, they will, Shirli and myself, we will have to sit down together with your representative, and we will decide together about the delegates, how many from the states, how many from Canada, how many from Mexico, and so as we know it for so many years. But what is important to remember that because this Congress will be by Zoom, and it will be just 3 days, but a couple of hours, there will not be enough time to discuss or to argue or to fight on a political arena. But after 1 year, in next October 21, there will be, hopefully, there will be no corona and there will be a real Congress in Jerusalem. And all those who were appointed to be delegates to this Congress in the coming October will be the delegates also after 1 year to the Congress, which will take place, as I said, in October 21. Hopefully, hopefully. Now, you know, we don't know what is the plans. People don't like to fly now, even if there is a plane to some places. So we hope that the Congress, even if it is by Zoom, will give us an opportunity to bring us together with other members, delegates from United States and from other countries. And afterwards, we will have to hope and to wait for the next Congress, which hopefully will be more with human touch and not just by Zoom. These days of the corona, the World Zionist Organization is doing a lot of things to not just to support, but also to express that we are one people. For example, the World Zionist Movement has ulpanim for Hebrew and teachers in United States, in France, in Paris, and in other places in France, in South America, in Argentina. Also, the classes are working now by Zoom, but they continue to study the Hebrew language. May I tell you something which I just found it a couple of days ago, because in a couple of months, it will be 100 years to the Histadrut. The Histadrut of the workers in Israel was founded in 1920. And in next December, it will be 100 years to the Histadrut. So I was interviewed to a film that will talk about the Histadrut in those days and today. But then I had to go and to find some material. And I found a letter which was sent to my late father in 1935. And it was sent from the Chalutz movement in Poland, in Warsaw, in 1935. The letter was written in Hebrew, and they wrote my father, we are glad to tell you that you got now the permission to go to Palestine, because in those years, 1935, it was Palestina, but you have to tell us if you know Hebrew. If you don't know Hebrew, you cannot go. You are not ready to go. And I thought that in 1935 even, it was so important, the Hebrew language. So the World Zionist Organization is working very hard to have Hebrew classes all over where it's possible. And even if there is this virus and all these troubles, it continues. Also, there was a wonderful investment of the Jewish Agency, which we are a part of the Jewish Agency, where Yitzhak Herzog is a chairperson of the Jewish Agency. and the Jewish agency gave money to three communities, to three Jewish communities that are in stress. One Jewish community in Rome, in Italy, and you know that in Italy, when it started with the corona, it was maybe the worst in Europe. For so many people died there, and so many people suffered, and so many people had just to be stocked at home. So the Jewish community in Rome was worried about the Jewish schools. So, as I said, the Jewish agency gave money to support the schools and not to close the schools, the Hebrew schools, the Jewish schools for the future. The same was done in Buenos Aires in Argentina, and the same was done in Johannesburg in South Africa. Just I am giving you it as an example of what does it mean to be one people and what does it mean to be united. United is not just we give and you get. United means when you need, we are coming to you also. And there are so many communities that suffered so strong from the corona, and good that there is a centrality in Israel, the World Zionist Organization and the Jewish agencies that are aware and keep in touch and also promise and do what was promised. The days of this virus are not easy. The anti-Semitism goes together with the virus. I don't know what you feel in your places, but there is a lot of propaganda against Jews, against Jewish people, that the corona is because of them. I don't know, maybe you can tell me what happens. There is again in cemeteries, the people, non-Jewish, are going to the cemeteries and are damaging the stones in the Jewish cemeteries, even in the United States. So, of course, when there will be the Congress in October, the second day, some of the time will be dedicated to see how to fight anti-Semitism, because we cannot afford and we cannot agree that we will keep silent in such a situation. But on the other hand, maybe because of anti-Semitism, maybe because of the change of the structure of places of work. You know that in Israel now the unemployment is in an enormous rate, the unemployment. It's about 20% of the people that are unemployed, and they are sitting at home, and some of them are getting some support. Some of them did not get yet the support from the government, and they are making the demonstrations, and we can understand them because they say, we are hungry. We have to give our children to eat. We don't have a place to work. And it will take time till there will be an investment for new places of work. It will take time. But on the other hand, the government, the Israeli government, is making long programs for the time that will come, because we expect that in the coming 5 years, million Jewish people will immigrate to Israel. Can you imagine such a sum of million Jewish people, who also some of them registered in the former Soviet Union, in France, in other places, and they said, we want to come and to live in Israel. Of course, their government, any government that will be in Israel, will have to work that there will not be such a bureaucracy, and to make their life easier when they are coming, and the ulpanim for Hebrew will be open to help them to adjust to the life in Israel. But this is, I think, something, a good hope for the future, that we will not think everything is so black and so sad, because if we will have more than 1 million newcomers, the role of the World Zionist movement will be a great role to absorb those million. And of course, we members of Naamat will take place and will be part of it. And let's hope all of us will be in good health and can do what will be needed in the future. So I wanted to give you some of this kind of information and to share with you and to hope together for better days when I'm hearing what's going on in California, what happened in New York, what happened in New Jersey, and all these other places with the corona. Of course, I felt myself with my colleagues as a part of it, because we are sister organization. I can tell you also that I saw the new Lego. Where is Jane Gorvitz? Where is she? Jane Gorvitz.
Jan?
She's here?
I just saw her raise her hand.
Huh?
I just saw her.
Because I saw the new Lego and I liked it very much.
All right, so I unmuted myself. Now I could talk. I'm glad you liked it, and we're very excited because we think there are words in there that really describe Naamat, and especially empowering women since 1925, because we're in this a long time, and it's a powerful statement that we've been doing this for almost 100 years, and we think we're very happy with it. And since I now have your attention, I wanted to ask you a question. Traditionally, when we have our World Zionist Congress meeting, there's also an opportunity for Naamat International to meet as countries together. Is there a possibility that we will do that even for an hour as part of the meetings for the World Zionist Congress in October, so we could see each other, from Brazil?
You mean that we will do it also on Zoom?
Yes.
Yes, we can do it on Zoom.
So I hope that we will do it. Of course, Shirli will have to work about it and to see how we will be connected before the Congress. It's very important.
The other question I have is a technology question. So I'm sure they'll work it out in terms of when you go to a Congress, you have earphones and you could set it to the language you need. I'm guessing they will have to be able to do the same for people who are watching it, need Spanish, need German, need English.
It will be in many languages, and you will have to push a button for the language that you like, that you want.
Okay.
There will be a company that will work about the whole Congress and about the languages, of course. Of course, it will not be just in Hebrew. But it will be in other...
I'd have to have a translator sitting next to me. My son could translate.
Other languages, and everyone will push the button for the language he wishes.
Very nice. Thank you.
Does anyone else have any questions for Masha or anything else they'd like to add?
Yes.
Can I say something?
Sure.
I have some very good news. I just started a fundraising for Naamat on Facebook. I started it 3 hours ago. My birthday is a month from now, but I decided to start early. And I was shy. I put $300. Over the last 3 hours, I already got $171.
Very nice.
Very good.
It's for the Glickman Center. So I hope to get more
Great.
over a month.
And by the way, just to let you know, we were asking where people come from. Ina Stavitsky was originally from Brooklyn. That's where we met. She's from the former Soviet Union. She now lives in Virginia, and she's a life member and attended our convention in Israel. So that's another part of the United States. We have somebody from Virginia.
Great.
Yeah, here I am in Arlington. Welcome. When the COVID is over, everybody is welcome.
Okay, I'll look for your Facebook fundraiser. I will be part
Okay,
of it.
all right.
Thank
Okay.
you for doing that, Ina. Thank you so much. Anybody else want to raise their hand? Have any other comments?
Is everybody here from the United States? Is everybody in the Zoom meeting from the United States? Except for Masha,
Everybody.
the
Yes,
two from Israel.
except
Yes.
for Masha and Shirley, yes. Yeah, this is just.
Shirley can also give us an update. Is
Yeah,
she going
this
to
is
speak
just,
next?
just so you know, Sophia, it's just the East Coast. It's New York and Maryland and Florida. New
And
Jersey.
Virginia.
There are a couple of people here from Florida that I know, but the rest of the people, some of them I know, recognize their names, but I don't know them personally.
I'm here
Don't
from
forget
Florida,
Philadelphia.
Oh, Judy Paretsky, who,
but it says Jan Gervich because I couldn't find my email to get on. So she sent it to me again, so I came on as her. Jan and I know each other for zillions of years.
35 years, and we were co-presidents, so we were a team. So we were J and J, Judy and Jan, and now she's my name twin now.
That's why we saw two Jan Gervich.
Right. That's
I'm
why
from Florida also.
Oh,
You know that, Jan.
right. A former board member,
Yes.
right?
All right.
I'm relaxing now.
All right. Why don't we?
Anybody here from Philadelphia, where I'm from?
We have a few.
Jan, what's the other lady's name from Florida, the first lady with your name?
Judy Paretsky.
Oh, she's been to our meetings.
Yes.
Right, okay, okay. Hi, Judy.
Jane, I counted 8 people from Philadelphia, and since there are about 25 on the call, Philadelphia has 1/3 representation at
I'm
this
sure.
meeting. You're from Philadelphia, raise your hand, raise
No,
your
no,
hand.
no.
Woo-hoo.
I
In
used
there.
to be from
Oh,
Philadelphia.
you always do good, Selma. What?
Ride them well.
Well, all I can say is this is a new baby chapter. So the fact that we're at this point is so exciting.
And your national president happens to be a member of your club too.
Having you in that
Oh, Jan.
Okay. Even though I live in New Jersey.
I think we're newer. Jan, we're newer in Palm Beach County.
Oh,
Yes,
all right. You're the newer chapter,
we
right?
started in December and got closed down in March, but we're going on.
Okay, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you to Masha. Pleasure having you and seeing you here today. Be well. And now we have Shirli Shavit, who's going to give us an update on what's going on in Israel and with Na'amat. I know we've all been wondering because last time we spoke about a month ago, things had just opened and there were some things that were then, lots of changes that had to be done and adapting to the situation. And I know since then things have closed back down and it's tightening there as well as here. So let's hear what's happening.
And please mute everyone.
Yes,
Please
everyone mute themselves, please. And if you want to, let's respect the Zoom rules. If you want to speak, you can either chat in the text box, and I can see all the chats, or you can raise your hand electronically. We see that. And then we'll open it up afterwards for another, for some more questions. But please mute yourself so we can't hear telephones ringing and papers shuffling and eating and everything else that goes on. So thank you so much. Shirley, hi.
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 Hi, nice to see everybody. I really want to thank Masha for giving the presentation of what will be and what is planned at the Zionist Congress. And I really hope, like Masha said, that in a year from now, in a year from October, we'll be able to all meet in Israel. And actually, our plans are and our hope, it's going to be 100 years for Na'amat, actually, the anniversary. 100 years of Na'amat, 2021. And we are really hoping to make some kind of a solidarity conference like we had in 2015. And we hope to do it around the time of the Zionist Congress, God willing, that will take place not by Zoom in a year and something from now, October or whatever month it will be, 2021. So this is going to be 100 years for Na'amat, and we are planning some special events. Aditi spoke to me about it as well. You hear me? Because I hear a lot of noise. No, it's okay.
Somebody's dog is barking.
That's okay. Anyways, so this is really our plan. Masha, I want to be optimistic that you said that maybe 1 million Olim will come to Israel in the near future. I really hope. And I hope very much that this will really happen. At least one good thing that will come out from the situation right now for all of us. Masha is still with us? I don't see her.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
Masha, Yofi. Great. Okay, one more thing that I wanted to relate to what Masha spoke. Jen, and to your question, I think it's a great idea, and I was thinking about it as well, that we will make an international meeting like we do every year before the Vada Poil or before the Congress this year with the Naamat international delegates. I will take care of that. We still have time, but yes, we will send an invitation that we will be able, to see each other, talk, and with one another, and before for our delegates before the Zionist Congress. Yes, we will do that. Okay. And once, I guess that after August, in September, we'll have more information, and then we will let you know regarding the number of delegates and so on. Before I give you just a short update of what's going on, I want to relate Selma regarding your virtual tour in August. I hope everybody knows about it or not yet. Does everybody?
We already have 25 people signed up, so
okay.
it's good.
Okay, I will be.
But
I
guys,
will be very well tomorrow.
If you haven't signed up, sign up. Go ahead.
Yes, tomorrow I will speak with Gadi. I sent him a lot of information. I sent him videos. I sent him material. I will send him what he needs. I will be at the Glickman Center tomorrow morning to take some more things. Anyways, okay, you're sharing a screen. But I think I'll look it over. I'll read it carefully, and I'll be in touch with you, Jen and Selma and Diana, maybe regarding some more ideas. And I hope you'll be able to promote it to many, many people. You don't have to limit. Why are you limiting it to 40? Was it just a joke or what? Why are you limiting it to 40 people?
It's not a joke, but we want the groups to actually get to know each other and feel like a group, because we feel like that's what makes people feel more committed to Naamat. If we need to, if we really have an overflow crowd, we'll get another bus going. Not a problem.
Exactly.
Not a problem.
Okay.
We're not going to limit, ultimately.
Very well. Okay, so now I'll give you just, a short update of what's going on. And as Jen or Diana actually said, yes, Israel went actually in the last week, I would say, every day changes, but we went back to the situation that we were in the beginning after things were opened, and I believe a bit too fast. We had this, so we're having the second wave now, and therefore there are new regulations, and there are also some things that we don't know yet how they will affect Naamat. For example, right now, of course, distance, social distance, and all that, of course. Our schools right now are closed because it's summer vacation, okay, July and August. So they are studying for their exams and so on, but actually the schools are closed. So we don't have to do distance learning at this point. But as it seems right now, we don't know what will be September 1st. In the first couple of months of the coronavirus, all our schools, like the educational system in Israel, were closed. Therefore, everything was dealt through distance learning, and this made a lot of problems for many of our students. Many of our students, most of them are from deprived families, and learning from home at some families was just impossible. Either there was not a computer, there were not enough computers, the environment was not good enough, there was not always cooperation with the parents. It was very, very difficult. We did more and beyond. We did our best, and also our teachers in all the schools, to try to help all the students. We also used computers for many of them, but it was very, very difficult. It was not easy at all, but we did the best we can. Actually, in Kanot Youth Village, as well as in Ayanot, I think your people that were with us at the last Zoom with Naamat USA, we spoke about it. At Kanot, they had to make boxes of food for many of the families. Also, the employees, some of the employees of Naamat that were on, you know, on a leave, on an unpaid leave, and for many also of our families, of the students, the families of the students that literally did not have enough food at home and really went into a very difficult financial situation besides all the risk of the virus. And what Masha pointed out, very important, is that in Israel, the financial situation at this point is very, very difficult. I mean, the economic and the labor force in Israel, there is like almost like 20% unemployment. And this affects all spheres of life, as you understand. It's not only financial problems for so many families. People don't know what the future will bring. Violence has risen very much in the society. In a minute, I will point out some things regarding domestic violence and the role of the Glickman Center. Now, regarding our daycare centers, at this point, the daycare centers are open until August 8th. But also in the daycare centers, we have a lot of problems. First of all, we had to close off and on some of our classes because we had caregivers who you know, were contaminated with the virus, or we had some children, so they were on lockdown. So we had to close some of our classrooms as well in different daycare centers. Now, not all the children came back to the centers. Even though our centers are full, there were families that because of the financial situation could not send their children back to the daycare centers. Now, the enrollment for next year for September 1st is also much lower than it was last year. So we have to cope with a lot of problems and to adjust all our daycare centers. We had to close some daycare centers for next year, unfortunately, because either there was a lack of children or they were not according to the regulations. We had to invest too much money in renovation and changing them. So we are really doing our best to maintain, to keep, and to expand our centers. But the situation right now is very difficult, not easy. We are hoping that at least we will be able to keep the centers open till August 8th. Some of the centers, we made an extra week for some kind of like a summer camp, but everything is very unpredictable. From day to day, things are changing. I want to now tell you two things regarding, first of all, our legal bureaus, the women rights centers, and then Glickman Center. So since the situation in Israel is very difficult, excuse me for a second, the number of women and families that are turning to our women rights centers and are turning to our legal bureaus is on the rise all the time. For the last 4 months already, we get so many requests for either meetings, but less meetings, much more telephone calls, okay, regarding problems in the family, regarding divorce, regarding child custody. This is a big issue now, okay, with you know, child custody, where the child, the small child will be with the mother, with the father, if they can meet together or not, all kind of different things that really make a lot of tension within the families. At the Glickman Center, and this is very important for me to emphasize, actually, from the last couple of months, we have learned that domestic violence affects all the family, especially women, but children. And there's also a lot of problems with men that don't have a place where they can turn to if they feel that they want to get help for themselves. So what we are doing now at the Glickman Center, we started doing it actually the last month or two, turning the Glickman Center, we call it the home of Naamat for the family, which means that we are trying to do our best and to help women, families, and men on different issues. Of course, the main issues are concerning domestic violence. We continue to have the shelter there for battered women and children, which is completely full. But besides that, we are offering our services not only for women from the Tel Aviv area, but rather from all around the country. And it's talking about different therapies, okay? CBT, different therapies for children, therapies for men, mediation, a lot of different services that will be given at the Glickman Center, and we are trying to promote this. We had a hotline, and we had a campaign on television as well, and on radio and media in Israel. We have a hotline for domestic violence that Na'amat is running and giving, trying to give solutions as best as we can. And this is something that we are really, these days, we are doing it. We are doing a lot in this issue because the number of problems in the family regarding violence is just unbelievable what is happening in the last few months. And we feel it daily, on a daily basis. I'm trying to think if there's anything special, because if not, I will maybe open the floor for questions.
It's like that here too.
Excuse me?
It's like that here also. The domestic violence has increased.
Yeah, I assume. One more thing that I do want to say, it's important. This is at least something optimistic. Masha Lubelsky is with us, and besides being the our representative at the World Zionist Executive, Masha is the president of the Scholarship Fund, the Scholarship Fund of Na'amat. And this year, despite all the situation, and not despite, because of the situation, it's even more and more important to continue and to run this project of, the Scholarship Fund. And just these days, I'm sending out to all our regional chairpersons lists of their students that, we had about 500 or 600 requests for scholarships. We give out about close to 200 scholarships for bachelor and master degree, with a preference to scientific subjects, master degree, but also there are a lot of special problems and special requests, which we do our best to meet. So these days, I'm sending out, thanks to your help and thanks to all your donations all through the year. And I really appreciate it, on the name of Na'amat Israel and all the students, all your efforts in this beautiful, I would say, really project. So these days, I will be sending out almost 200 names for our regional chairpersons, according to regions in Israel, that these are the students that will get the scholarships of 2,000 shekels each. Now, it sounds to you 2,000 shekels, maybe it doesn't sound to you too much, it's a lot. And believe me, this makes a difference and it helps the students. So we will not be able, unfortunately, to do this year a huge, what we do every year, we do a ceremony with all the 200. This year, we will not be able to make a ceremony. We will send out the scholarships and they will do small, very small ceremonies within the different regions. In addition to this, we are granting 8 scholarship, actually 8 research grants for PhD students in 2 topics, on gender studies and also on a scientific topic. And this year we will do this, and we will give out 10,000 shekels for each PhD recipient. We have 8 of these, and this will be done in September. If we will be able to, according to the regulations, we will make a small ceremony just with the PhD recipients. And like I promised you, at any case, we will make interviews and we will make a Zoom session with our recipients, so we'll be able to share it with you and with our friends abroad. So this project is at least something optimistic that we are continuing these days, and we are granting and helping as much as we can, to empower and to influence our future generation. So I thank you so much for all your efforts on this. And I think maybe I will leave some time for questions or concerns. Diana, what do you say?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask a couple questions, and then I certainly want other people to raise their hand. are all the universities and colleges in Israel doing distance learning and online, or are there any labs or anything in person?
No, according to what I
Everything is
know,
online. Everything is online. Everything. Even
exactly.
the examination, I have a granddaughter, a student in the Tel Aviv University, and the second year, she's in the second year, she's studying psychology, and the examination had to be in the first place in the university, but then they decided it's impossible, so it's by Zoom. So there will not be a specific degree, but the degree will be you passed or you did not pass.
Pass fail.
This depends. This depends on universities. Masha is right. Everything is distant learning. I also have a student at home now who usually is not at home, and he lives in dormitories in a university, and he has tests, and everything was online. And for him, the tests are not passed or not passed, but according to grades, specific grades. Very difficult for many of the students. This is very difficult, but there's nothing that can be done. And he was already told that next year, meaning next school year, beginning at the end of October, will also be distance learning by Zoom. That's what he was informed.
Wow. I have another question, and this was asked of me by one of our members. The legal aid bureaus, we know that there's many throughout the country. And just wondering, is there a project that NAMA USA could ever fundraise for the legal aid bureaus? Is it, I know it's salary or it's staff or it's volunteers and those types of things, but we've never had a project that was a fundraising opportunity for these legal aid bureaus. And I know you just mentioned that they're so busy and that there's more and more people, needing legal help. So we were just wondering about that.
We can think about it. If I think offhand, you did do fundraising for legal bureaus in renovations. This you did. You fundraised in the past for renovation of some of our legal bureaus and women's rights centers. But perhaps what can be done, and I will discuss this also with Hagit, and we'll see what the needs are, because every woman that comes has to pay a certain amount. It's not for free. It's much cheaper. It's less than half, much less than half than they would go to a private lawyer. But still they have to pay approximately 170 shekels, which is about, it's about, I would say, $45, something like that, which is quite also not easy for many of the women. We try to do our best to help those that cannot pay, but many times it's difficult. And perhaps we can make some kind of a fund like we did in the past for daycare centers. Remember, Namat USA helped us with a fund that we helped those families that could not pay even the minimum tuition for daycare centers. And we made according to different criteria and so on. But this is something we can think about it and talk about it. But this is something that perhaps can help those women that have to come and need our services and cannot pay even the low fee of what we have to charge, because you see, at the end, we also have to maintain and keep ourselves. And Naamat is in a very difficult financial situation due to the corona and due to a lot of funds that we lost because our daycare centers were closed for quite a long time.
Right.
Yes, but Shirley and Diana, it's important also to get a certain feedback if there will be a campaign like this of supporting this legal advice bureau, legal help bureau, if people will, if it will be attractive for people to contribute, if it will touch their heart to contribute to this.
Right. For children, it was easier, I think. You did it for children, but we can think about it.
Okay, we can talk about it further. Susan Miller from Philadelphia asked a question about what can you tell us about what's Israel doing to combat COVID-19? And I guess she means in the scientifically, if there are things going on that you know about that Israel is doing.
Masha, I know what I read on the media.
Israel is working very hard in some places. So now in the Weizmann Institute, you know that now I heard in the Israeli news, but you have the same also in the States, that in United States, maybe there will be some medical equipment in about 5 or 6 months against the corona. And in the Oxford University in England, they are doing something also to have a kind of a treatment. So in the Weizmann Institute is always in touch with the universities abroad and with the science centers abroad, and everyone is now longing and wishing to have some medical treatment as soon as it can be.
Yeah. Oh, Jan, are you raising your hand? Did you have a question? You're muted.
No, I'm good now. Okay.
Okay. Did you have a question? I see your hand raised.
Yeah. Selma.
So since so many people are out of work, and many of the employees of Na'amat will be affected coming in the fall when there aren't as many classes or as many students, is there something that's called an emergency fund to support our workers and families connected to our Na'amat institutions at this time, some special name? Because maybe we should be funneling, supporting those particular people. They're out of work, they were Na'amat workers, or they no longer have food even at home, that we need to be paying attention to.
Selma, I would answer this.
Shirli, may I tell you about the president of Na'amat Israel, Hagit Pe'er? Maybe you heard about it, so I'm repeating it, that some of the workers who work in the daycare centers or in other places, yes, when everything was closed and they could not come back and go to work, so they had to stay at home. If they had to stay at home, it was a kind of a vacation, but it was not a vacation. So the Bituach Leumi, how do you say?
National insurance.
The national security, they paid 70% of the salary of every woman. So the woman who was sitting at home, she got 70% from her salary from the national security. But when it came to Pesach, for every family, Hagit Pe'er took a loan to give them the other part of the 30% to accomplish that they will have 100%. And this was something outstanding because no other organization did it. Selma.
Excellent, excellent.
Yes.
This made a big difference.
So now if there is specific needs, now when they are back to work, so when they are back to work, they are getting the full salary. They don't get anything anymore from the Social Security. But if it will happen again, so maybe there we have to find out ways how to fulfill, because you know, for a woman who works in a daycare center and her salary is not so high, yes, it's not high tech. She does not get a salary, a metapelet, like one who works in the high tech or one who is a doctor or a lawyer. And then if she's getting just 70% of salary, it's less than what she needs for her family. So we will have to see what we'll do in the future.
I would add also, Selma, Diana, 1 second.
Yeah.
Masha, thank you so much. This is so important, exactly, and what Masha emphasized. If you remember, I would just like to add that at the beginning of the coronavirus, when it all started in March, we had emergency campaign. And then I sent you some material and different things that is going on to all the countries. And you helped us, it was a little bit, but still it was, it did give something that we could, and what we did is really help specific families towards Pesach, that they were families that literally did not have enough food at home. Also for our employees, and as I said before, also for some of the families of our students in the technological schools, as well as in our youth villages. Yes, because our caregivers, they earn most of the minimum wage. And in any case, minimum wage is very, very hard and difficult. And these days, there are also many of their spouses also are unemployed, whatever. So it's like, it's a big crisis economically.
I know you mentioned that, I think you mentioned that 17 of the daycare centers are closed. I mean, you literally closed them down. Is that correct?
We will be closing them towards the end of the year. Yes, I will say this in the name of Hagit. She explained this to you I think in our previous meeting. We could not continue running them because either there were not enough children there. There were much smaller amount of children in all the classes. And also some of our buildings are not according to the regulations of the Ministry of Labor. So we cannot continue running a daycare center that is not according to the regulation unless we invest hundreds of thousands of dollars to change it and building and so on. This is something impossible. But what we are trying to do, and we are doing our best, and Hagit invests a lot of time with the early childhood, director and so on, and all the directors, is really to check each and every daycare center to see with their forecast how many children there are, and to try to really keep, even if we have less daycare centers, 15 or so, at least the ones that we are running, they should be according to all the regulations, that they should be very, they should be renovated, and they should function the best way possible to really enhance the movement and to promote our services to the families.
Right. Jan, did you have a?
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to say, yes, that we, just to remind Selma, that was our Passover appeal, and it was, we were very happy. Not only did individuals participate, but clubs and councils were very moved and participated as well. And the question I have, I know we discussed domestic violence and said that it so dominates our mind and what's going on. I'm wondering about the hotline, the new hotline, and whether it's up and running and how it's functioning as now that it has a 4-digit number. Is that
it helps?
Making it
yes.
easier for the women to call?
Yeah, it helps. It makes it more easier. People remember it sometimes much better than if you have such long numbers. It's functioning, and we do get a lot of calls. It's continuing. Not like the beginning, because when we did at the beginning, there was also a campaign on television, so it was 24 hours almost, at least like very long hours. Now the hours are less, but yes, we get a lot of calls, and we try to, to give solutions, and try also to expose the services that we have that could help the women at the Glickman Center.
Do men call that line as well?
Yes. Not as much as women do, but yes. And we will make special, what the plan is, we are actually working on this these days. I just spoke about it with Hagit yesterday. We are making, we will make special appeal also to men, because we believe that men, this is a concept that our professionals told me, so I'm repeating them, that at many times men don't feel, that they have a place to turn, or they feel, pressured, and we feel that if men will have an appeal to men as well as to women, then men can come, and this will help the whole family. So it's complex. It's not so easy, but yes, we are doing it, and we believe that this could also be a very important part in combating domestic violence.
Instead of me too, it could be men too.
meant to be.
I
I
should
think maybe the phone line has hopes, because sometimes a man may not walk into a center, but if he's
Right.
by himself and nobody's around, and he can make that call and say, I had a bad experience. I don't know what to do.
Actually, we have a man, he's very well known, Tamir Ashman in the Glickman Center. He's well known actually all over Israel. He's going to help us to build this special program for men, because he's a specialist in doing group therapy and workshops for men. And he is working at the Glickman Center. I mean, he does groups at the Glickman Center for men, and we will expand this. And he's helping us these days to figure it out. Yes.
Tal, I know you had some questions earlier. Did you get your questions answered? Is there anything else you'd like to?
Not yet. Not yet. Maybe. I have 3 questions, but maybe just talk about the Glickman Center, because that was the last thing that you talked about. Shirley, you said, if I'm not mistaken, that the Glickman Center serves the whole country in terms of answering questions, in terms of being a shelter. What happens in other big towns, big cities? Is there any shelters? If you're in Jerusalem, something's happening, you're not gonna go and take your child and go to the Glickman Center. Your first call, but remember you were talking about, you're telling women, even because they're afraid to talk, take the garbage, go downstairs and talk to us from there. How do you service from the Glickman Center the whole country?
Tal, first of all, you have to make a difference between the shelter and the Glickman Center. Shelter is the purpose of the shelter. Actually, the shelter is intended for women, not from the Tel Aviv area, because you're not supposed to know where they are. So it's for women from all over the country. The shelter always has been to serve women, not from the Tel Aviv area. Until a few months ago, the Glickman Center was intended only for, I'm talking about the Glickman Center, the ambulatory part, the open part, the consultation and the workshops and so on, not the shelter, okay? Was intended for women in the Tel Aviv area, because the municipality of Tel Aviv helped us to fund this in a very meaningful budget. And as I explained in our last meeting, the Tel Aviv municipality stopped funding its own municipalities all over Israel. It's not something against Naamat or something like that, but the policy right now is that the municipality, Tel Aviv municipality, does not fund anymore the Glickman Center. So we decided that in order to maintain and to keep the Glickman Center, we cannot rely on the help of the Tel Aviv municipality. Therefore, we must give our services for women from Tel Aviv and also from different areas. Now, there are more centers, not exactly like the Glickman Center. It's not the only one in the country, of course not. But we do have unique services. We have a name recognition, a very good name recognition, and we're trying to promote our services also to women outside of the Tel Aviv area from different surroundings. Just yesterday, when I spoke to Ruti Ozeri, the director of the Glickman Center, she told me that there are also women coming right now, one from Jerusalem, one came, there were like a family coming from the north. It's just starting to get the word out, but this is what we are trying to do. Shelters, there are, I think, 14 shelters in Israel. Maybe Masha knows the exact number. I think it's like 14 shelters in different places in Israel. Not a Naamat shelter. Naamat is only one.
Not a Naamat. That's what I wanted to know. How many out of these are Naamats?
Naamat has one shelter for battered women, which is in the Glickman Center. In the Glickman Center.
Okay. The other question, just quickly. We made previous years. We had campaigns for computers. For the high schools, for different purposes, and I guess there was service in the high schools. Now you say that in the last few months before vacation, there were a lot of students that have difficulty accessing computers. Is there a way, if we do a campaign, that these kids would get a computer and take it home? In other words, that's this way, because this is here to stay. And we don't know what's going to happen in the fall. And it could be that that will be, again, the case. Is there any thought about giving the kids to take it home?
Yes, Tal, I think this is a very, yes, it's a necessity for sure. And I think if you are able to do some kind of a campaign for computers for children for students that do not have in their homes, or yes, for distance learning, this is compulsory. You must have it home. Otherwise, it's very difficult to do it through your iPhone. I think this could be very meaningful, and I know it's a necessity, and I know it's a real need in our technological network in the schools. Yes, also for the youth villages.
Okay, thank you.
I can tell you that Tal, I will add that it's of course, in the Jewish sector everywhere, but also in the Arab sector, there was so many problems. You know, we have also technological schools in the Arab sector, and there were many families that had no computer, and we did our best to help, but it was very difficult for students all over and from all the sectors.
From all what you have.
By the way, how do you decide who's going to go to the daycare and who is not? When the time started, when they opened, could you decide who is going to come and who is not? Is it according to how many kids are in the family, to the economical situation? Because it's going to happen again.
There are committees with the Israeli Ministry of Labor. The committee is sitting together and checking and deciding about the priority of who will have a place in the daycare center and who not.
Yeah.
Anyhow, from everything what you have today, you can be very proud about your logo, which you wrote that to enrich the life. So you covered this evening how you enrich the life of women, children, and the population, the people who live in Israel.
I just wanted to mention one other thing. Is that
this is a slogan, this is a message, and this is a hope to enrich the life.
Glad you like it. I wanted to mention one other thing, that our annual appeal, we have a summer annual appeal, and that's going to be, the information will be coming out very soon, and that's to support the dorms in Connote. So that's another very important project that we're fundraising for. So I understand, even though there's obviously the pandemic, but that there's a lot of kids who are living in Connote, and we need to upgrade the dormitories. So that's what
yes, of course. And actually in September, I told you of this project, but in September, we are starting to build new dormitories for the 7th and 8th graders, okay, from ages 13 and 14. We get a lot of help from the Ministry of Education. Most of the funding is from the Ministry of Education, but we are lacking. Yes, this would be very important because we need to add a certain amount, and we are starting. All the plans are there already, all the permits, and in September they are starting the actual building. And many of you have visited Connote. In Connote we have over 600 students now, and it's really changing the lives of the youth and giving them a much better future. So we thank you for your ideas.
I'm just looking at the time and realizing what time it is in Israel. We have to be kind to you.
Yes.
And you got to sleep, you know, and to have a little bit of something to eat, schmooze with your, whoever's in your household. So I want to.
On that note.
I think we want to thank everybody for attending. I'm sorry if I preempted Deanna, but I just looked at the time. I go, oh God, it's 10 o'clock in Israel. So we thank you so much for everything, and we appreciate all that you do. And as we appreciate the members who all showed up, because they're the ones who care. So I thank you.
Thank you all for attending and for coming. Thank you so
Okay.
much, Masha. Masha is now an expert in Zoom as well, as you can see.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank you all. And Diana
Okay.
will be in touch, and we'll meet soon in
Absolutely.
our next Zoom.
Yes.
Come
And
back soon.
Yes, we keep thinking that the times are going to change and that we won't need to necessarily meet this way. But you know what? It's probably, always good to meet this way in Zoom because we are so far apart, and it's a wonderful way to stay in touch. So we will continue these for sure.
keep well and healthy. Be
Thank
well and
Thank you.
Thank you all for
Thank
attending.
you
and
too.
be well.
Thank you for your presentations. It makes
Hi,
the
Lydia.
connection even stronger for us. It's very important. Thank you.
Absolutely.
thank you very much. too.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Yeah.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.
Bye. All the best. Be well.
Lydia.
Shalom lahitраot.
להתראות.
Bye bye.
So long.